Shall we start? I believe all are joined. Okay. So yesterday we were discussed about the payments. There are different method of payments. Like we have seen the PDC, we have seen the check, we have seen the cash and electronic payment. Okay. So in check they are the terms may be different. Like for example, when you are using the checks, they may call as current dated checks, nothing but CDC. CDC is nothing but current dated checks, which is normal check. Check with current date. Okay. So the payment method is same as check only. Okay, there will be no PDC maturity date, nothing we will specify. Okay, so the terminology called CDC sometimes. So even in interview, they may ask you how you classify CDC, how you classify PDC. So you should say that in method of payment, we will create check method as CDC. Okay, uh, in method of payment, you will create check method as CDC, and you will give the payment status over here has sent, and rest all everything is same. Okay, for CDC checks. For PDC checks, you will classify the bridge account. Based on bridge account, it will be triggered to the respective. um, Initially it will transfer to the bridge account, and from bridge account you will post maturity date, it will be deposited to your bank. Okay, so that is the PDC process. Okay, so we have seen so far complete AP invoice module and rest all the things. Now let's create vendors. So for creation of vendor, we will go to the accounts payable, vendor, all vendor. So basically this is the complete master form. So where it will be included all the necessary information related to vendor. So we have already seen in the Pokemon session how we will create the vendor, but at here we will see what are the additional information where finance user will be added to the vendor. Okay, so if you open the vendor account, if you click the vendor account, it will open the vendor master. So at here the finance user will add against this particular vendor. The first thing is registration IDs. So at here registration IDs is nothing but the tax registration. To open this registration IDs, you will open the vendor master, and after opening the vendor master, under the vendor action pane, if you scroll towards your right, you will find registrations. So under that you will have registration IDs. Okay, so at here, once you clicked on registration IDs, okay, now you can see at here we have we will create new. Okay, so you will classify the name of the registration ID. Like for example, at here I am defining the same vendor name. Okay, so what was the purpose of this particular registration? You can define the purpose. You can see we have a different purpose of the registration. Either it may be a consignment purpose or head office or local office, business office. So you can define that particular respective type, purpose of type. Okay, and after that in address you can classify this address. This location is this tax registration is located in which particular location or country. You can classify over here. Like for example, if this country is located, I mean if this particular location is located at UAE, so I will select the country code as ERE. Okay, ERE is nothing but the Arab Emirates only. Okay, and you will classify the address, and you will classify primary for this country region as mandatory. Okay, so once you enable this particular toggle, so you can update the contact information for this particular location, like who will be the point of contact for this particular location. So you can add their phone number, their email ID by clicking on add. Okay, like for example phone number. Okay, I just added the phone number, and you can make it as primary for this particular location. Okay, so if you scroll down, you will find the registration ID. So your core part will be at here. In the particular registration ID, you will specify the tax registration information. By clicking on add, you can type the registration type, like for example if the registration type is VAT, or if it is the registration type is GST, or you will select that particular registration type, and you will give the registration number. Okay, so let's imagine I'm giving some random registration number, and you can specify the description in detail about this particular what purpose of this particular uh, registration ID is. So you can specify some more information on this, and you can select the issuing agency. So at here, this tax registration number is issued by the federal tax authority. So I will select that federal tax authority, and you can give the issue date. So based on that, the expiry date will be auto populated. Okay, so once you have updated this information, you will click on save. Okay, so this is the adding the registration IDs for the vendor. So any doubt on this particular topic, adding the registration IDs? So a vendor can have multiple registration IDs based on different location. Okay, now you can see for this particular vendor, he's having different location. He's having in Afghanistan, he's having in Algo, and he's having in Bahrain. So he's having in different four countries. So based on that particular countries, at that he was having the tax registration number. So those tax registration number he can map in this particular way by creating on new again, and he will add the necessary information of that particular vendor address, contact information of that particular branch or location, and he can map the tax registration number. Any doubt in this particular registrations? So once he clicked on save, so that particular information will be populated over here, and even at here in the addresses. Okay, so this is ARE which we have created. That particular information of that particular address will be populated over here. Okay, so this is related to the registration. And next part is, so if you scroll down, okay, we have invoice and delivery. Okay, in this particular invoice and delivery, he will map the sales tax group. Okay, so once he map the sales tax group, uh, other than that, we have the payment terms and electronic payment. So these what is the use of terms of payment? So the terms of payment is utilized, like for example, if you have made the generated the invoice based on the invoice date, it will calculate the due date. So within how many agreed days you can make the payment. Like for example, you can see if you are having the credit card, so credit card, the whole transaction will be carried for 30 days, and he will give you 15 days time to make the payment, right? So similarly, the vendor is providing provision to make the payment of against this particular invoice certain days. Either it may be a 15 days, 30 days, 45 days, 60 days. So he's providing a grace period to make the payment against that particular invoice. Okay, so that particular grace period basis how it will calculate the due date is based on the terms of payment. Okay, so method of payment you have seen at here. If we define the default method of payment, so based on that it will be auto populated in our transaction. Like for example, when yesterday when I'm selecting this particular vendor AXE123, by default the payment method is coming as bank. Okay, the reason behind is at here you can see the method of payment is selected as electronic. Okay, so any doubt on this particular thing?
Yes.
Okay, so the next topic is the account statement. Okay, now this particular vendor, if you know the what are the transaction I have made during that particular period or during that particular year, so you can track that particular transaction information directly from the vendor master. Like for example, this is the AXE123 is one of the vendor. So if I want to know the complete statement of this particular vendor, okay, you can generate the statement in two different ways. One is you can directly go to the transactions. Okay, so this particular transaction it will show complete all the transaction information related from the beginning of the year. Like for example, if these particular transactions were started somewhere in 2020, okay, from that particular date to till date it will show all the transactions. Okay, so now if I scroll up, you can see for this particular vendor he is having transaction from 2021. Okay, from January 2021 to still now, this vendor having these many transactions. Okay, so at here, let me add one more column. Just give me a minute. So at here, let me add the transaction type. Okay, so the reason behind I have added this particular transaction type is to classify what kind of transaction it is. Okay, now you can see we have different transaction types over here. Okay, so you can see purchase order, prepayment application, vendor. Okay, and you can able to see the payments. Okay, other than that you can see foreign revaluation also. You can see settlement. Okay, let me export so that it will be easy. Okay, so at here I have exported that all the transaction in one Excel file. Now if you see the transaction type of this particular vendor, okay, if you see the transaction type of this particular vendor, you can see cash discount, fee, fixed asset. So let's see one by one. So cash discount. So this cash discount is nothing but if you are providing, if the vendor is providing some cash discount, like for example, if your due date is, let's imagine, uh, 28th Feb. Okay, if you make the payment before 10th Feb, you will receive the additional discount of 10%. Okay, so this 10% discount, whatever it is there, it is nothing but your cash discount. Okay, so let's imagine if you have made the payment on 2nd Feb, let's imagine 10,000. So you will receive 10% discount. So you need to pay just 9,000. That 1,000 is nothing but your cash discount, where your vendor will be debited with 9,000, and sorry, your vendor will be debited with the 10,000. In that, cash discount will be 1,000 and your bank will be 9,000. Okay, so that will be the entry. So next we have, so they have posted some fee entry. So this may be related to the foreign currency revaluation. Such kind of fee will be there. So this is normal invoice type of entry. Okay, so you can ignore this one. So mostly you will see the cash discount and uh, fixed asset. So in fixed asset it's received as the 5,000. So how this fixed asset entry has been booked? So this fixed asset account entry has been booked directly from the fixed asset journal. This we will see under the fixed asset topic. Okay, so next we have the foreign currency revaluation. So this foreign currency revaluation we will run uh, on month end basis or year end basis, as we have the different currencies. I mean, if you are reporting currency and accounting currency is different, and even you are doing on most number of transaction in different currency like euro, USD, INR. So in that case, what we will do every month, and we will run the revaluation. uh, the main reason to run the revaluation to adjust the penny differences, and to based on the accurate rate of the exchange rate. So whatever the remaining penny differences are round off will be there, it will be removed from the foreign currency revaluation. Okay, next we have journal. So what is this journal? So journal is nothing but when you are doing any transaction from the journal transaction of this particular vendor. So it will display journal has transaction type. So this lease expenses is nothing but this is also one of the journal expense type. Okay, so this is also one of the journal. And next we have the payment. Okay, so this payment is nothing but your vendor disbursement journal. When I say vendor disbursement journal, it may be a vendor payment. So it can be any of the method. Okay, it may be a check, it may be a cash, it may be a PDC, it may be a CDC, it may be a any electronic payment. So it will be displayed the transaction type in the vendor master has payments. Okay, next transaction type we have the prepayment application. So at here the prepayment application is nothing but the advance payment or advance invoice which we have issued to the vendor. So next we have purchase order. So purchase order is nothing but the PO invoices. So whatever the PO invoices will be there, the transaction type will show as purchase order over here. Okay, So next we have over here the transaction type as settlement. So at here this particular settlement is nothing but when you are doing the manual settlement, so in that case another transaction will be created as settlement. Okay. Next we have vendor. So these vendors is nothing but the transaction which were posted from the either from vendor invoice journal, or either from another way is vendor in register, vendor pool, and vendor invoice approval. So either in invoice vendor invoice journal, or either in this particular process, if you are posting any invoice, that particular transaction will be displayed as transaction type as vendor. Okay, and it will display the respective invoice account and all the necessary information. Okay, so this information currently we are viewing at the form level. Okay, so if you see in this particular vendor transaction, okay, now you are able to view over here in this particular form level. Okay, so this is related to one legal entity. Okay, so if you want to view global level account statement in form level, you can able to view it with the help of global transaction. Okay, so this particular global transaction, like for example, when I open this particular form, so it will display in which legal entity these transactions are available. Like for example, let me export it so that it will be easy for filter. Okay, now at here if you see, we have a column called legal entity, right? So at here if you see the legal entity, currently it is in USMF only. Okay, now let me do one more thing. Okay, let me go a step back. Now what I will do, let's copy this particular vendor and let us paste in another entity, and let's do one or two transaction, and let's see how it will be displayed in the global transaction. Okay, now you can see uh, under the vendor tab we have a copy add vendor to another legal entity. Okay, so this is the standard functionality where you can copy this particular vendor information to another legal entity. For that, what you need to do, you need to click on this particular action button, and it will ask to which legal entity you want to release it. So you will mention USRT. Okay, and you will specify the vendor group of that particular entity. Like for example, I have selected the vendor group, and you will specify the currency, and vendor on hold you will mention as no, and you will click on OK. Now you can see a pop-up of message will be appear stating that the vendor has been copied. Okay, and also you can see previously we are in USMF, now you can see it is in USRT. So it is automatically copied from there, and it's transformed to another entity, and at here it's open the necessary information. Now at here what I will do, let me go to the invoice tab. Now let me generate one of the invoice journal quickly. Okay, so now in USRT entity I am creating the uh, transaction for the vendor. Okay, So at here I just posted one of the transaction of invoice. Now after posting this particular invoice, now let's go back to the USMF entity or even from the USRT entity. We will see the how it will display your global transactions. Okay. Now in USRT entity I have posted one invoice against this particular vendor. Let me go a
Sir,
step back. Yeah.
for vendor payment, it is always in debit side, you said. Right?
This is vendor invoice. You can see invoice journal.
Okay.
Invoice journal always in credit side of the vendor balance will be on credit side. For vendor payment, it will be debit side, you are right. But I
Okay.
have created the vendor invoice journal. Okay. Now, now I am in USRT entity. So under vendor, if I click on the global transaction, now you can see in USRT entity it will display that particular invoice which we have created now in USRT entity, and it was displaying the USMF entity all the transactions. Okay, so this particular transaction will be displayed in respective of the form level itself. So it cannot be generated on the report. Okay, for that you need to print, you need to customize that particular report. Okay, so currently this is the form level at USRT. Now let me go back to USMF entity. Now I have came back. Now you can see from USRT entity it is changed to USMF. So if I rerun the same global transaction, it will display the same way. Okay. Now you have understand the difference between transaction and global transaction. So transaction of this particular statement is, it will show only that respective entity itself. Global transaction will display all the entities whatever available inside Dynamics wherever this particular vendor is located. Based on that, the particular transactions, either it may be invoice, either it may be a payment, either it may be a settlement, or it may be a general transaction. Any transactions is related to this particular vendor is available, it will be displayed under the global transaction. Okay. They may in interview they may ask difference between these two. What is the difference between transaction and global transaction? So you should able to answer it. Okay. And also you can see in transactions we have other two options like invoices and balances. So what is the use of these invoices and balance? For example, if I click on invoices, okay, so it will display all the invoices so far from the date of effective date to still now. Okay, now you can see this is the invoice in US uh, USMF entity, so it was displaying all the open invoices. Okay, and the balance column it will display the current running balance, I mean the closing balance of this particular vendor. Like for example, if I click on balance, now you can see the balance it was showing as 2260130. Okay, so at here it's showing the sorry, this is customer balance. Now you can see this is the vendor balance it's showing as 1843484.964. Okay, now let me duplicate it. Okay, so if I go to the transactions of this particular vendor, so we have over here one column called balance. Okay, so when you make the sum of this particular balance, to make sum you will right click on this particular balance in transaction currency. Okay, view column total. So at here you click on sum. So once you click on sum, it will display the total of this particular column. So what is the balance over here? 1843579.964, and you can see the balance it's showing the same. Okay, so this is vendor balance, what it's showing, and if you see the transaction level, if you want to know the balance of the vendor, so you can easily identify with the help of this particular balance. Okay, now at here, uh, before going further, I just want one more thing to explain. Okay, so at here you can see, mm, let's example, let me filter first balance. Okay, now at here, these all are open balance. Okay, open transaction. Okay, now in this particular transaction, if you see, let's take the vendor. Okay, so these all are open vendor invoice. Okay, which have still, I mean, the balance is available in the sense, it means that against this particular vendor still we didn't settle anything. Okay, so the balance for the invoice, it will show as, it means that we have not yet done the payment against this particular invoice. So that was the reason it was still showing the balance as the same what is your invoice amount. Even if you do the partial invoice, I mean partial payment, so it will display whatever is the remaining amount is pending on this particular full payment. So it will show over here. Like for example, let's see if any one record is available with the same. Nothing is available. Everything is 100%. Yeah, one is available. Yeah, now you can see I have selected one particular row. Okay, now you can see test pay schedule. The invoice amount is 7,000, but the balance is 5,600. The reason behind is already at here the partial payment is done, and the remaining balance it was showing over here which is due, still it is not settled. Okay, and even you can see this one also, one of the example where you have 263.67 is your total invoice amount, but the balance is 23.97. Okay, so this is the way, uh, for the invoices by default it will be the balance show over here until you make the settlement against this particular invoice. Now if you see the payments, now you have seen the invoices, by default it will be the open balance until you make the payment and settlement. Now when you see the payments, when you see the payments having the balance, it means that these are the unsettled transaction. You can say these are the open transaction. Okay, these are the unsettled open transaction, or you can say, mm, there is another term we call in in financial. I'm not getting the term. Mm. Okay, for time being, you can imagine these are the open transaction or unsettled transaction. Okay, so at here, this transaction you have made the payment and you don't know against which invoice you made the payment. Okay, so either you need to do manual settlement in the form. To do the manual settlement, what you will do, you will come back to the this particular form. Okay, and you will go to the settlement and settle transaction. Okay, so at here what you will do, you will mark as settled and you will click on OK. Now at here, let me, you can see at here some of the transactions already they have selected it. So that was the reason I'm not able to select. And you click on post. So once you clicked on post, so what will happen? So in this 500, you can see the balance it is showing as 14,500. And against this particular thing, if there is any change in the financial dimension, so what it will do, it will post the settlement entry. Okay, so if the invoice financial dimension and if your payment financial dimension, if it is same, then there will be no settlement transaction will be hitted. If if the financial dimensions are different, then in that case you sorry, so in that case there will be a settlement transaction will be posted. Okay. Mm. So this is about the balance and transaction currency, and you can see the balance from here. Okay, now if you go to the invoice tab, okay, so at here invoice tab, sorry, okay, so up to here it is clear. We have seen transaction, global transaction, invoices and balances. So up to here it is clear for you. Any doubt in this one?
No.
No? Right, okay. Just give me a minute. Okay. So, so we have seen the vendor account statement in inquiry form level. Okay. So now if you go to the accounts payable, okay, under accounts payable, under inquiries and report, okay, we have vendor reports. Under vendor report, we have account statement. Okay. So when you run this particular account statement, it will ask the from date and to date. Okay. Like for example, I'm just running for last year. Okay, so you have given the from date and to date. Okay, and at here you will enable the toggle whatever the transactions you require. Like for example, open only. So open only in the sense the balance it showing as the vendor transactions. Either it may be a vendor payment or either it may be invoices which shows the balance column with the amount is considered as open transactions. Okay, so you will enable open only, and if you want to specify the offset account for those particular transaction, so you need to enable this particular toggle, including reversal. Like for example, if there is any reversal of the transaction, so if you want to review all those transactions, so you will enable this toggle. Okay, show all transaction. So instead of open only, if you enable show all transaction, so it will display all the transaction type whatever it is available, it will be displayed. Okay, similarly without transaction, no need to display. And new page, so like for example, if there is any different vendor, so it will go with the new page. Okay, show balances, it will display the balances of the vendor transaction. Okay, so at here we have a two different format. One is the discount format, another one is currency. So when you go with the currency format, so it will display with two different currency format. One is the accounting currency, another one is reporting currency. So when I run on based on the currency format, so what it will do, it will run for all the vendors at together, and it will generate a report. Okay, so let's see how the vendor account statement report will be displayed. So currently I am running on the currency base. Okay, now you can see, uh, let me make it big. Okay, now this is visible, right? Now you can see we have a vendor, okay, AXE123. So this is from and to date. Okay, so this is the vendor address, primary address, and uh, group and the information. Okay, so these all are the transaction. Okay, now if you see this is the opening balance, so the opening balance is showing the closing balance up to 2023. Okay, December 31st 2023, what is the closing balance of this particular vendor? Its carry forward has opening balance in 1st January 2024. Okay, the first column showing as the particular balance, and the next all the transactions which we have posted. Okay, now you can see PINV is nothing but the invoice, uh, and for payment you can see the payment voucher has BPay. Okay, so there are some different invoices and voucher has been posted, and this balance is nothing but the cumulative balance. Okay, from that particular date to till now up to here, it's showing the cumulative balances. Okay, so cumulative balances is nothing but what it will do from here. It will add whatever the transaction we are adding, it will be added. Like for example, it's 203784.37 plus 50,000. Now you can see it has been added. So again this balance plus this amount, it will be added over here. So similarly it is adding all the balances over here, and it has been posted. Okay, so this is nothing but the cumulative balance. So this is the format of, you can see where we have the accounting currency, transaction currency, and different. This is the remaining in the different currency. Okay. So similarly, this is for another vendor. Okay, and this is for another vendor. If this is the same vendor, so this is another vendor. Okay, so this is for another vendor. Feb 12, Feb 12. So there is another vendor, water and electricity bill. Okay, so similarly it will display like this, and you can run this particular report on individual vendor basis also. For that, what you can do, you will go to the account statement, and after updating this particular parameter, so what you will do, uh, let me enable all the parameter. Okay, so after enabling this particular parameter, so now you can see records to include over here. In this particular records to include, I will filter respective to one vendor. Like for example, at here I'm just clicked on filter. So at here I have the vendor account number. So at here I will select the respective vendor account. Like for example, I'm selecting the water and electricity authority, and I have clicked on OK, and I will click again OK. So it will display the account statement of that particular vendor transaction. Okay, so this is water and electricity bill, water and electricity authority. You can see for this particular vendor, it's showing the opening balance and closing balance, how many invoices or payments we have posted during that particular year. So it displaying in this way. Okay, now let me run in the same report based on the discount. So we have two different formats for this particular report. One is currency, another one is discount. So when I run on this particular discount basis, now there will be an additional column called the discount will be added. So let me run this particular report. Yeah, now let me make it zoom. Okay, now you can see we have additional two column, discount amount and discount used. So these are the additional two columns will be added, and the rest all the report format remains same. Okay, so this is one. Next we have vendor balance list. So the vendor balance list is nothing but this particular report will display the complete balances, closing balances as of that particular date in uh, uh, closing balance of that particular report, that particular vendor to you for all the vendor at one shot. Like for example, at here, if I'm giving the from date has 01/01/2024, okay, you can ignore this report when you want to report the start date. So I mentioned the same. And at here, if you mention the closing date as 12/31/2024, okay. So at here you can keep any year, like for example at here let's imagine I'm keeping as 2000. Okay, so you can find two different columns in this particular report. One is starting from the 2000, another one is starting from this particular period. Okay, so at here by sorting with vendor, and at here the accounting currency will be by default, it will be there. Okay, so in printout criteria, you want the closing balance or opening balance or transaction. So currently I'm not printing any criteria. Okay, so after that if you click on OK, so what it will do, it will run the complete balance list of all the vendor as of that particular date. So let it run, I will show you how it will look like. Okay, now you can see there is a one transaction starting from the 2000, and another transaction is starting from 1 1. This is the opening balance of 2000. Okay, so one transaction it is starting from 1/1/2024 to 12/31/2024. So another transaction is showing as 1/1/2000 to 1/1 12/31/2024. Okay, so as of for this particular vendor, okay, as of 31 12 2024, the closing balance is 30,574.964. So let's verify the closing balance of that particular vendor as of that particular date. So for that, what I will do, so we have already exported that particular vendor transaction, right? So at here, okay, so at here what I will do, so we have the transactions, right, with date. So at here I will filter this particular vendor, and I will remove the transactions for 2025. Okay, after removing balance transactions for 2025, so if you see the balance is how much it's showing as 307 669.96 307. I think there is some settlement which we have done, so because of that it's showing around 500 less. Okay, near 1000 it's showing as less as we have made some settlement with prior transaction. Okay, so similarly if you see with the other balances of other vendor, so it will display in that way. Now this particular transaction it's showing individual vendor balances. So even we can run this particular report with the transaction list details also. To run with the transaction detail wise, so what we need to do, again we need to go to the balance list report. Okay, at here you just need to enable this particular toggle as yes, and if you click on OK, so it will run the balances. Okay, now you can see, this vendor one, and you can see at here the transaction list against the main account. So what are the what is the debit and credit is available during that particular period. So based on that it's classifying the closing balance. Okay, so this is another way to identify the balances of that particular main account. Okay, even you can run this particular report on for the individual vendor basis. For that what you need to do, again you need to go to the vendor balance list. Okay, so at here in records to include, filter, and you will filter with that particular vendor like AXE123, and if you clicked on OK, the report will be run for that particular vendor. Okay, so any doubt on this particular report, account statement and balance list? It's clear, right?
Yes, sir.
So at here we have another report is nothing but the vendor aging report. Okay, so you can find under inquiries and report you have vendor aging report. So what do you mean by aging report? So for what purpose we will utilize this particular aging report? Okay, so this aging report is classifying your invoice due in different buckets. Okay, so either your buckets will be defined as 30, 60 or 90 days as due date from the date of invoice. Okay, so it will be classified based on that. So at here like I have class selected the aging period as 30, 60, 90, 100 days. Okay, so it means that if your aging is this particular days, so based on due date, so that particular invoice amount falls in which particular aging bucket, it will display you over there. Okay, so at here now you can see as I have given the aging as of today and balance as of today. So this will display the this particular aging in this two particular format, and at here I have enabled the exclude zero balance. It means the vendor balance is zero to exclude that. So after that I will click on OK. So the aging report will be run for that particular vendor. Okay. Now you can see at here the aging report has been run. Okay. You can see the vendor one AXE100 AXE123. So this closing balance which we have already seen for the vendor as of today, and it was matching with the balances, closing balances. Okay, so the balance as of today, it will display the column, the balance of today as of whatever it is there, and next the aging will start from the here. Okay, from 29 to from 29 Jan 2025 to 31 December 2024. So this is our first bucket, which is nothing but the 30 days. Okay, now if you go to this particular transaction, okay, so in this particular transaction, if I filter with the date, okay, let me select this particular also. Twenty-nine. Okay. Okay. Now you can see my 30 days aging is starting from 29 Jan to 31st December. So whatever the transaction is available during that particular period, so that particular period, whatever the balance is there, that particular period balance is 153910. Okay. 1535,910. So that is the same balance whatever it is a year it is available. It is populating in that particular 30 days aging. Okay. So this particular amount of invoices are due. Okay. Now, yeah. So at here you can see for this particular vendor AXE123, the aging period due for 30 days is 153910. Okay, so if you see this particular Excel sheet of that particular vendor transaction which we have exported today, okay, so I just filter with that particular date from 29 Jan to 31st December. So in during this particular period, I have two invoices and one payment. Okay, I have two invoices, one payment, which is still it is in opening balance. I mean, which are the open transaction. Okay, so if I make the total of this particular opening balance, so it will showing my it is showing my closing balance as of the particular this 30 days total is 1535,910.00, and the same balance is showing is applying over here. Okay, next if you see the balance from 30th December to 1st January, sorry, 1st December, I have 0. So if I go over here, if I filter with the same date, so let me remove this particular transaction. Under December, I have three. In December, I have total 4 payments. Okay, and it's 0 balance. So you can see at here in this particular report for this particular period it is 0, and at here also you can see the column is 0. Okay, next balance it's showing for 61 to 90 days. The balance from this particular day to this, I mean, which is November month. So if I filter over here date for the November month, You can see at your balance is 406.31. It's showing as 561.306. So there may be some settlement which is done 50. So that was the reason showing as blank. Okay. So like that it has been classified this particular aging bucket. So how this particular aging bucket it is classifying? So this aging bucket is classifying based on three different methods. We have three aging bucket, aging transaction. I mean, this particular report classified with three different ways. One is the based on the transaction date. Invoice date and due date. So you can say invoice date as nothing but the document date. Okay, now we are seeing in this particular scenario. Okay, let's imagine if your transaction date, if you have mentioned the balance, I mean that aging as of, let's imagine aging as of I have mentioned the 30th 01 2025. Okay, now when I am mentioning this one, so leaving after leaving the balance column of this one, so the minus 1, so minus 1 day, which is nothing but 29/01/2025. From here 30 days 30 days it will calculate it minus 30 days. So what day it will come, that is nothing but the 31st December 2024. Okay, so the duration between these 2 days is nothing but 30 days. Okay, so next year 30/12/2024. So this minus 30. So you can see this minus 30 if I did, so it's showing this date. I need to add one more plus 1. The reason why I have added the plus 1, so if you see the total of this difference between these 2 days will be 30 days. Sorry. So this duration is 30 days, you can easily identify. Okay, now from 30th November to 2024, so I want to know next 30 days. So this is from 31 to 60 days aging. Now I want to know 60 days to 90 days aging. So again there is a minus 30 will be there. So this minus 30, which will give me 29 days. So I need to add one more day. So this is giving me 31 days. So I need to add one more day. Then it will give me exact 30 days minus. Okay. So next aging bucket, it's giving me 91 to 180 days. Okay. So 91 to 180 days, it means that from 31st October 2024, from here, so it is calculating 60 days over here. So this date minus 60 plus 1, so it will give me around 60 days duration. So up to this particular period, whatever the transaction is available, invoice transaction, those balance will be populated. So next we have 180 to 360 days. Okay, so at here what it will do, this date minus 1. Okay, so that is the 1st September. From this particular date we will less 180 plus 1. So it will give the 360 days. Okay, usually in Dynamics it supports only the 6 aging buckets, but if you see other countries, they may have more than 6 aging buckets. So when I say the aging bucket is nothing but this particular bucket is called as aging buckets. These all are aging buckets. So now at here we have around 5 and this is 1. So total 6 aging buckets. So the last aging bucket is nothing but 181 plus days. Okay, so it can be so on up to 2000, 3000 aging dates also it will be available. Okay, so now we have seen the based on transaction date. So next one is document date. So document date, what is different between transaction date and document date? Okay, so if you able to see, we have if you have opened any invoice, okay, now if you go to the any let me go to the invoice journal. Okay, now we have the due date. Let me add another column called document date and transaction date also. Okay, now you can see for a couple of transactions we have the document date. So this document date, from where it is coming? It is coming either from your purchase order, okay, or your invoice journal. We will have the document date in that particular column. Okay, so based on this particular document date, it will calculate the due date. Okay, sorry, based on this particular document date, it will calculate your aging. Okay, for that what we have to do, we need to go to the same vendor aging report. Okay, you will go to the accounts payable, inquiries and report. We have vendor aging. So at here, criteria based on transaction date we have seen. Now we will see the based on document date. And once you clicked on OK, so now what it will do, based on document date, this particular aging will be calculated. Now so far what we have seen based on the transactional date, right? Now we will see based on the document date. So that is the difference. Okay, now this concept is clear, right? So first we have seen based on the transaction date. Let me go to the all vendor. Let me open that particular vendor transaction so that you can understand transactions. So this date is nothing but your transaction date. Let me open the document date. See, at here we don't have document date for few transactions. Okay, for those transactions it will take the transaction date as document date. Okay, now if you see the aging based on this particular document date or the transaction date, it will be the same. Okay, as we have seen the transaction date, so there will be no change for this particular vendor. Okay, now let's run the same aging report based on the due date so that you can understand. So at here the criteria, if I filter with the due date and I have run this particular aging, Now you will see some changes in this particular report. Okay, now in this particular report transaction, okay, I have due date column over here. Let me see. If it is not, let me add, and then I will export it. Let me add due date. Yeah. Okay, so let me export this particular Excel file. Okay, now you can see the balance as of due date, the aging buckets giving from the on January. So we have given the balance as of this particular date. So in January we have two transactions. So other than 30 from 29 29 January to 1st December, sorry 31st December. So the transaction, it's showing the balance as 1521410. Okay, and if you see over here in our report, it's giving sorry, based on due date. Okay, you can see this 14,500. Okay, so this 14,500 is nothing but this is my future date. Okay, so if you see in Feb, I have one transaction which is due, that is nothing but the 14,500, which is due on which date, 24th Feb 2025. So this 14,500, it's displaying on aging in the future. Okay, you can see from 30th 2025 to 21/31 2154 year. Okay, so this is the future aging. I mean, this is still the due date is not yet passed, so it was showing over here. So in current aging, if you see for the month of this particular 30 days from January 29 to 31st December, so it was showing I have 2 days transaction. Let me select those two, and the balance it was showing as 1521410, and you can see it's showing as 1521410 in the current transaction. Is it visible now? 1521410. Now during this particular period from 1st December to 30th December 2024, so if I filter with the due date with December month, okay, at here I have 4 transactions. Okay, so at here I am having transaction balance as 533.69. So at here it's showing as 438. There is some 100 which is causing difference. Okay, sorry, it was taking this particular balance total. Okay, now if you see the next column, it's 2,300 from 61 to 90 days. that is from November month. So if I filter with the due date with November month, it is showing me 2300, and here it was showing 2300. Okay, so at here more than 180 days and over, so it was displaying this particular balance. And if I filter with the rest all the due date transactions by selecting all, let me remove 2025 November and December. If I remove, then the balance whatever it's showing in this particular transaction in this particular column is 304836.27, 304836.27. so this is the more than 180 days aging balance. So at here aging balance is nothing but the you have created the invoice and you have not yet made the payment. Okay, so that is the aging calculation. Any doubt in this particular aging calculation of this particular report? Hello team. If it is clear, then we will stop over here. We will see you tomorrow more in detail how we will create this particular aging definition, how we will define, we will see it. Okay,
Yes, sir.
this is little bit tricky how the aging will be calculated, so we will see more in detail tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay guys, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.